it's not just about the presumption of incarceration. It's about politics. I mean, let's be honest about it. The politics of it is it's always easier if you're an elected official to say throw somebody in jail than not. It's always easier to do that. Secondly, we got a bunch of unionized people who work in these prisons who, if you eliminate them, you're going to be eliminating jobs. And there is, I am telling you, this is true, there is an institutional resistance to that. You know, we're closing, I mean, this is something that's a little bit far field, but important for you to know, and I think related from an institutional perspective. I would assume that most people in this room do not know that New Jersey institutionalizes more developmentally disabled citizens than every state in the union other than Texas. Yeah, everybody wants to throw some people in jail and say, yeah, I'm tough on crime. But, you know, we can walk away from that piece because we're showing it's not effective. But when both parties get together to actually say, you know what, we're going to stand up to these other interests that want to keep these places open merely for the jobs. You know, to me, that's not a good enough justification for it. And so we're going to move towards doing that. And I think we're getting relatively close to the time where we will be able to do it. And I think once we get full phase-in of the drug program, I think you will see that happen. I think, first of all, it's about individual leadership. I mean, because, you know, groups put out white papers all the time, whether they're Republicans or Democrats or independents, whoever they are. And white papers are fine and they're nice, and sometimes we actually even read them. But it's about individuals taking political risk in leadership. And I'll tell you how I talk about this issue to my fellow conservative friends. I'm pro-life, and I believe strongly in the sanctity of life, and as do many of my fellow conservative governors. And I say to them, you know, it's great to be pro-life, but you need to be pro-life after they get out of the womb too. We have to be pro-life all the way along. And sometimes life presents us with challenges to being pro-life. People make mistakes. People anger us. People do things that we can't understand. And it becomes harder at that moment to be pro-life. But if we believe in the sanctity of life, then we need to believe in how life is precious for every moment that God gives us. Not only the really good moments, but the really tough moments too. Amen. And so, if in fact we believe life is precious, and I do, then the life of the drug-addicted teenager who's been arrested for the 6th time is just as precious as the lives of any one of my children. The life of the 45-year-old lawyer who is addicted to prescription drugs and alcohol is just as precious as any one of the prosecutors who ever worked for me. The life of the 65-year-old woman who has spent her entire life helping others and then falls victim to alcohol or drug abuse is just as precious as the life of my own father. Now, these are things that we need to stand up for. And it's hard to stand up for them. But if you're going to be pro-life, you got to be pro-life the entire journey, not just the beginning of it.